Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something called COSA, an autonomous agent that basically acts as a guardian for your systems. But the real kicker here is how it communicates. Forget about complicated dashboards or noisy alert channels. With COSA, the entire interface is your email inbox. Let's dig into how that actually works. So, let's start with a simple question. Who's watching your machines when you're not looking? You've probably got some critical piece of hardware, maybe a little Raspberry Pi, running an essential service somewhere. It could be tucked away in a server closet, or maybe it's literally hidden under a restaurant counter. It just works, right? Up until the moment it doesn't. And let's make that real for a second. Picture a busy Friday night at a local restaurant. The point-of-sale system, chugging along on that one single device, suddenly just dies. Orders stop. Payments fail. You've got instant chaos. It's exactly this kind of high-stakes, low-resource problem that really needs a totally new kind of solution. And that solution, or at least one approach to it, is COSA. This is a completely different way of thinking about system administration. It basically throws out the idea of complex dashboards and the need for someone to be watching a screen 24/7. Instead, you get this persistent, autonomous agent that acts like your virtual operator, right on site.
This quote from the creators, it just says it all, doesn't it? No dashboard, no app, just your inbox. Think about that for a second. The entire control panel for a pretty sophisticated system administration tool is the one thing you're already checking all day anyway, your email.
So what is COSA, officially? Well, it's defined as a persistent, autonomous operations agent. The best way to think about it is like a silent guardian for your devices. It's always watching your system's health, it'll send you an alert if something looks wrong, and you can actually ask it questions in plain English. And here's the most important part, it will always ask for your permission before it tries to fix anything. The setup is actually brilliantly simple. COSA just runs on its own dedicated machine, right there on the same local network. You, as the operator, just send it a plain text email. COSA gets it, does its thing, and then emails you back with the results. And the security implication here is massive. It only makes outbound connections. No open inbound ports means the attack surface is tiny. Okay, so that's all the theory, but what does this actually look like in practice? Let's walk through a real crisis scenario and see how you would actually manage the situation with COSA using nothing but a couple of emails. It all kicks off with an alert. You get a simple email. System is degraded. Instead of scrambling, you just reply, like you're talking to a colleague. What's the status of the database? COSA gets your message, runs its diagnostics, and emails you back. And it doesn't just tell you the problem. It gives you a proposed fix, along with a one-time approval token. All you have to do is reply with that token, and COSA gets to work fixing it. The whole thing is just a conversation. And one of the really smart things here is that COSA understands who it's talking to. For, say, a restaurant owner, it uses a simple mode. It's just plain business language that focuses on the business impact. But for a developer, it flips to an advanced mode, and suddenly you're getting all the deep technical details, status codes, metrics, raw logs, the whole shebang. It tailors its response to the person asking. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Giving an AI agent SSH access to a production system? That probably sets off a few alarm bells. And you know what? It should. That's why COSA was apparently designed from the ground up with security at its absolute core. It's not an add-on, it's the foundation. Let's break down how it actually builds that trust. Okay, so COSA's security really stands on 4 pillars. First, like we said, no inbound ports, ever. Second, nothing gets changed, no write actions at all, without your explicit go-ahead. Third, it checks the SSHO's key every single time it connects to stop any men-in-the-middle attacks. And fourth, everything it does is logged forever, so you have a complete audit trail. But it gets even deeper than that. There are actually 3 layers of security for every single action. The first one is the security gate. You can think of this as a bouncer at the door. It's a hard-coded check for obviously dangerous commands. Things like RM-RF or shutting down a core service. It just blocks them flat out before they even get a chance to run. All right, the second layer is the approval gate. So if a command isn't one of those obviously dangerous ones, but it still carries some risk, this layer kicks in. It automatically routes that proposed action straight to you, the human operator, for that explicit email approval we talked about. This makes sure there's always a human in the loop for any big changes. And this final layer, the output sanitizer. This one is absolutely critical. After a command runs, this layer scans all of the output and strips out any sensitive data. API keys, passwords, you name it, before any of that information gets sent to the AI model for analysis. This is huge because it prevents your secrets from ever leaving your local network. So, CASA is clearly a really thoughtfully designed system, but it's about more than just being a clever tool for managing one little device. The creators behind this have a much, much bigger vision for what the future of operations could look like. And this right here is the central idea. COSA is, at its heart, an experiment. It's testing a whole new philosophy where system administration isn't about typing arcane commands into a terminal. It's about having a conversation. It's trying to build a true partnership between a person and an AI, one that's based on trust and simple, clear communication. And this roadmap really shows you just how ambitious the project is. Phase 1, the foundation, is already done. But just look at what's coming next. Automated backups, intrusion detection, even helping out with bug fixes and code deployments. And that final goal, Phase 5, Evolve, they're talking about an agent that can actually learn and improve its own skills over time. That's a massive leap. So all of this brings us to a really provocative final question. For decades, right, the command line has been the king, the undisputed interface for serious system operations. But COSA proposes this radical alternative. So is it possible that the future of managing our most critical systems won't be in a terminal, but will just be a simple conversation in our inbox? It's a fascinating thing to think about.